Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Final Take. I'm Curtis Rauen, and joining me tonight are Nathan Hansen and Bryce Pomplun. Well, we're about halfway through the semester, guys. Nate, are you ready for midterms?
I think so. I mean, I don't have too many, so I kind of lucked out there.
See, I'm hoping I'm ready. I have a lot of classes, so a lot of midterms. They're all going to kind of mix together, I feel.
Well, for me and Nate, it's nice with being in the comm department. We don't have many exams. It's a lot of projects. But we got a lot to cover tonight, so let's go to that. We got the Pointer Athletics along with college football, NASCAR's chase for the Spring Cup, buy or sell segment, and Week 5 in the NFL. We begin tonight with Pointer football. The Pointers traveled to Platteville over the weekend to take on number 12 ranked Pioneers. The game was a close contest, and it was decided in the last 5 minutes as the Pioneers came out victorious with a 30-27 victory. Kyle Larson once again led the Pointers through the air with 219 yards and 2 touchdowns along with 2 interceptions. DeJuan Wright led the rushing attack for the Pointers with 61 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Nate, we'll start with you. Are you worried about this offense's lackluster performance this week?
I think so. I think we kind of overblew how good their offense really was. I mean, they had scored all these points against all these bad teams, but now that they're coming into conference play, defenses like Platteville and Oshkosh and Whitewater, they're going to be tougher to go up against. And I think we saw today, last weekend when they played the Pioneers, and the offense kind of struggled. I mean, they relied on their running game most of the year. Britton Vernon in the past couple games, and he only had 14 yards. So it was a real struggle from that standpoint, but Kyle Larson kept them in it. I mean, it was tied at halftime, so I think the offense is there. They just got to step it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you have to give props to Platteville's defense. Platteville's defense is probably one of the best in the conference, and Stevens Point's offense is probably just above average. Like I said, I mean, it's pretty easy to score 60 against Finlandia. I mean, so level of competition has definitely improved.
I'm a little confused. I mean, they're putting up 27 points. Pioneers held, Whitewater to 17, and we're talking about a lackluster offense. Pointers put up 27. What are we complaining about here? I think the offense has done fine. Nothing really to worry about. They almost went into Platteville and won, and that hasn't happened in a while.
But the thing is, they almost did. They didn't, so that's kind of why we look at
but 27 points isn't a lackluster offense. I'm sorry.
The rushing attack was.
Oh, when you're scoring 40 to 50 the previous weeks, 27
Well, yeah, when you're playing the bench warmers, you're going to score 50, 60 points. I mean, let's be real here. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Blake Lehman led the way with 11 tackles. The defense played well in the game, but Platteville converted 11 at 19 third downs. Nate, how do you think this team moving forward against Platteville and their performance and what's going on with them right now?
Well, they got to get off the field on third downs. I mean, you said it, 11 of 19 Pioneers third down conversions for the Pioneers. They got to get off the field on third down. They put them in the right positions. They got them in long third down situations. They got to get off the field. The Pioneers converted. I think we saw the Pointers struggle defensively a lot early in the year, but now they stepped it up a little bit. I think they're kind of playing more to the level of competition that they have, and they held the Pioneers to 14 at halftime. Second half, they struggled a little bit second half.
Well, this Pointer defense is terrible. They allowed 457 yards of offense. I mean, like you said before, 11 of 19 on third down. Platteville was driving up and down the field all day against this Pointer defense.
You said enough. I don't need to go on. Well, the Pointers' next game is against UW-Oshkosh, who recently snapped UW-Whitewater's 30-game winning streak. That game is set for 1:30 this Saturday at Titans Stadium in Oshkosh. Let's move on to volleyball now. The Pointers had a chance to rebound from a loss to Eau Claire when they traveled to La Crosse Friday night to take on the Eagles. The Pointers couldn't overcome a strong start by the Eagles, though, as they fell 3 matches to 2. Bella Nelson had 17 kills on the night. Those conference losses dropped the Pointers to just 1-3 in WEAC play. The 13th ranked Pointers have struggled recently. What do you think of the team right now, Nate?
Well, I got an extended look at them Wednesday night in their Alzheimer's night at home, and I realized one thing: they're missing height. Height is not something they have, and that's something they had early on, but now Emma Brunkhorst is injured for the Pointers. She's one of their taller players, had a lot of blocks for them, and now they're missing that. They blocked only, I think, 4 hits last game in the home matches against Eau Claire, so they struggled there. Offensively, they're keeping up. They're with them. They're just not quite where they need to be, where they were early in the year. They need to get healthy.
I blame this on the experience. I believe Stevens Point has 2 freshman setters out there. I mean, the setter is probably the most important offensive position because they basically are running the offense in volleyball. And to not have that experience, to have that playing time, I mean, it's just not clicking. I feel like towards the end of the season, get a little more experience at the college level. Understand, they'll go on a run. But right now, it's just not looking good for them.
Yeah, and kind of go into the setters. You play club volleyball. Go into that kind of. What do they do as a position? How pivotal are they for this team?
Well, your setter's calling all the plays. Like you're telling the hitters where to run, where they need to go. It's basically they are like the quarterback on the court. Like I said, they run the plays. They put the ball where it needs to be, and it pretty much has to be perfect. If it's not a perfect ball, you can't get a good hit on the ball. So the setter is probably one of the most pivotal offensive options on the volleyball court.
All right, well, the Pointers travel to Oshkosh for the tournament this weekend, and they will take a break from conference play as they take on Martin Luther College on Friday at 7:30. We'll take a quick commercial break, but when we return, we will discuss Wisconsin Badgers football along with the NASCAR's chase for the Spring Cup. Stay tuned.
Be a part of something super Greek at UWSP. There are 9 chapters and colonies on campus: Phi Sigma Phi, Gamma Phi Delta, Theta Xi, Sigma Delta Rho, Sigma Tau Gamma, Delta Phi Epsilon, Tau Kappa Epsilon, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, and Phi Omega. Greek life at UWSP is a great way to build your personal support system and resume. With Greek life at UWSP, you won't just be a member, but a happy friend to the chapters and colonies for life. See what opportunities Greek life could offer you.
Great opportunity to promote leadership, a great way to get connections, and also to build bonds between different groups.
You get the opportunity to grow yourself as a leader and as a person, both through your organization and connections through Inter-Greek Council and other avenues like that.
Greek life isn't what you see in the movies. I recommend checking out one of the recruitment events for the organizations and just seeing maybe you belong there.
Got an itch to be on air? Join the SPTV news crew. Being an on and off air reporter will help you gain experience in interviewing, shooting and editing video, and reporting behind the anchor desk. Join SPTV News, pointing to you.
My name is Jackie Lang. I graduated from UW Stevens Point in 2013. I started off coming to general members meetings, showing up for the shows. From the first show that I was a part of, I just absolutely loved it. Now that I've graduated, I currently work at WFRV TV, which is Channel 5, the CBS affiliate in Green Bay. I also freelance for Lashbro Visual Communications. All of my experience, all of my knowledge came from SPTV, and I will forever be grateful to this organization for that.
Welcome back to Final Take. The Badgers snuck out a win versus Nebraska 23-21, giving them their first conference win of the season. The win ended their 5-year skid in Big Ten road openers. Kicker Rafael Gaglione saved the day with a go-ahead field goal in the final seconds. He's a big boy, I tell you what. The defense held tough, though, for the Badgers, allowing only 7 points in the second half. Badgers' offense was a different story, though. Joel Stave completed 25 of 50 passes for 322 yards and a touchdown. Starting running back Taiwan Deal left the game in the first quarter with an ankle injury, and Dare Uganbole replaced him and rushed for 117 yards. We'll start with you, Nate, being a Badger fan. Are you worried about the lack of production of this offense so far?
Absolutely. Anytime you have Joel Stave throwing 50 passes, you're probably going to lose the game. They would have lost the game, but Ralph Gaggs was almost the GOAT, missed the first kick, came back and hit the game winner. They need a running attack. The running attack's hurt. Now with Corey Clement out and now Taiwan Deal out, they're left. They had a linebacker playing running back in that game against Nebraska for him. He scored a touchdown. So they're really hurting offensively, especially with Joel Stave. They need to play Bart Houston.
I think I hear a violin playing. Go ahead.
Yeah, this Wisconsin offense is absolutely terrible. Gary Anderson really left the cupboard bare. I don't think he got any top recruits to come to Wisconsin. And the ones that he did, the quarterback, Kafkiska, he's not even on the roster anymore. He's playing in Utah. I mean, what is wrong with this Badgers offense? There's no talent now that Corey Clement's gone.
There's no talent. I'm not a fan of this Paul Chryst guy. He is so boring out there with his play calling. His interviews are god awful. I would never want to interview the guy. He's just boring and blah. It's just, oh man, it's terrible.
I think what you're seeing is what Bryce said with Gary Anderson, how he left the program. He kind of left it, and he left it where Paul Chryst was coming to a job where he almost had to rebuild. And that's something the Badger fans aren't used to.
Well, the Badgers, didn't Paul Chryst, he's from Wisconsin or he played there or whatever. I'm not a fan of the guy at all.
He's a quarterback whisperer.
He's just too blah for me. Well, Joel Stave, is he still the answer at quarterback, Nate?
Absolutely not. They need to put in Bart Houston or even Tanner McAvoy.
Yeah, they're lucky Nebraska's terrible because if they would have done this against any other team, this game would have been like 35-10, maybe 42-20. And Stave is not the answer. They got to find someone.
You know, and I haven't watched many of the games. Are they still doing that two quarterback, put in McAvoy every now and then?
No, it's all Stave.
What did you think of that? Were you a fan of it? When you're playing two quarterbacks, you know you're a done team.
Yeah, it's really predictable because all Tanner McAvoy did was run. He couldn't throw the ball, so it was kind of, okay, Tanner McAvoy's in, it's going to be a run.
All right, well, the Badgers head back to home to take on the Purdue Boilermakers at Camp Randall this coming Saturday at 11 o'clock. What's your prediction for that one, Nate?
Well, Purdue's a little worse than Nebraska, so I think Badger will take home a W.
Yeah, Purdue's bad, but, I mean, the Badgers already lost to Iowa at home. They could drop 2 home games this year because I think Purdue almost upset Ohio State recently.
Yeah, the train's crashing down in Camp Randall this weekend. You'll see. Now we'll go on to the Motorsports Minute. Joey Logano dominated at Charlotte, leading 227 of the 334 laps to claim the win and clinch a spot in the next round. Many Chase drivers struggled in this one, though, with Matt Kenseth and Dale Earnhardt Jr. hitting the wall multiple times and Kyle Busch getting wrecked on pit road. With Talladega being a wild race where anything can really happen, how important is it for the drivers to get a good finish at Kansas this weekend?
Well, I think, like you said, anything can happen, but I think we're at Talladega Nights. I got to watch some Ricky Bobby myself to get ready for the race.
Yeah, you really got to finish well at Kansas. Kansas is a very boring track to watch.
I'll tell you what, most of the races are pretty boring to watch.
I ain't going on a rant on that one.
If the race wasn't rained out Saturday night, I would have watched it. But since it was a Sunday race, football took it first priority to me.
As it should any human being.
Right.
Charlotte is a fairly interesting track. Like they said, a few guys hit the wall. That's what it's known for. It's kind of like Darlington. A lot of guys hit the wall. I'm surprised that there was a wreck on pit road. It's usually very unusual to crash on pit road.
Let's go quick here. Who do you think is going to win this one?
We'll go Jeff Gordon. Got to make the return. It's his last trip. He's got to bring home the win.
Kevin Harvick, he's been running good all year.
I don't have a prediction. It's NASCAR. Well, the chase continues at Kansas on Sunday at 1:15. We'll be right back, but when we return, we will have our buy or sell segment and around the NFL from Week 5.
Hey, you. Are you creative? Do you like television? Would you like to make a show that appears on air? Then SPTV is the place for you. At SPTV, you can appear on air, learn how to shoot and edit video, write and produce your own show, and most importantly, gain skills and experiences that will last a lifetime. Want to join us at SPTV? Come check us out in the Communication Arts Center, rooms 121 and 130. We'd love to meet you. SPTV. Let's make media together.
My name is Julia Flaherty. I'm the current promotions director at SPTV. My job allows for me to have a lot of personal creative direction because that is the team environment that we instill here at SPTV. This past summer, I had the opportunity to write for hercampus.com as well as thedailyquark.com. Personally, I feel that being involved with SPTV has really helped boost my confidence and my ability to network with other students. If student media is something that interests you, and even if you're not really sure what student media means, you should stop by our studios. We are looking forward to having you involved this year, and we cannot wait to make media with you. Don't have a television? Don't worry. SPTV is available on demand at uwsp.edu/SPTV. Find your favorite shows on our website, plus links to all of our YouTube content. Stay up to date with SPTV news that includes information about campus and community happenings. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. We're SPTV-UWSP Television. SPTV. Let's make media together.
To our buy or sell segment now, where we ask our analysts to buy or sell for different topics. Well, guys, since it's October, postseason baseball, and it has arrived, are you guys buying the Houston Astros potentially winning the World Series? We'll start with you, Nate.
I'm buying the Astros. I'm all in. I think they're the Royals of last year. They've got everything.
You sound so enthusiastic right now.
Yeah, they got. I'm excited for Carlos Gomez from the Brewers, who went over there. He's playing well finally. It's good to see him playing well in a winning atmosphere.
Oh, I'm selling this. They blew a 6-2 lead in the 8th to the Royals. The Royals got this series pretty much locked up now. The Astros aren't coming back.
I'm selling it all together. Go Cubs. The Cubs are going to win this World Series. Marty McFly predicted it. All right, moving on. You think the suspending Chase Utley for that slide that he broke Ruben Tejada's leg with caused the league to crack down on these kind of slides? I mean, what do you think of that decision they made?
Well, I agree with the decision. That slide by Chase Utley was totally egregious. It was not totally uncalled for, not even close to the bag, not a good slide. He was clearly just trying to take out Tejada. But I think an interesting point about this was that they talked about if that shortstop that got hurt was, for example, Troy Tulowitzki, there might be a rule in place tomorrow already. That's what they kind of talked about. So I don't think there's going to be a rule in place about it just because it's happened so many times. But I think they'll probably start suspending players like they did Chase Utley.
Yeah, this slide needs to be taken out of baseball. I don't know how closely you guys follow, but Jung-Ho Kang, the Pirates shortstop, he was illegally taken out by a Cubs player, and that pretty much just derailed the Pirates' season. I mean, that Kang guy was batting 300, 20 home runs. Like, he was a stud, and he didn't get to play in September and in the postseason. That really hurt their chances.
And what are you saying they need to take? What do they need to take out here? Sorry,
these illegal slides. Like, they gotta crack down.
The slides to break up double plays.
Yeah,
they're just trying to take.
They gotta go for the bag.
You know,
not
I saw
the
some
player.
guys on Baseball Tonight talking about, and they said this was part of the game back in the day, and this happened all the time. And they're kind of that old school mentality. It's kind of like what you see with all these other sports when they're cracking down on concussions and stuff like that. It's part of the game, but I don't know how I feel about it. I'm a little. I'm kind of in the middle right now on. I mean, what do you think?
You got to do something about it. I mean, if you're just going to let guys try to take out guys that are trying to throw the ball to get somebody else out, that's not fair.
It's strategy, though. Haven't you played baseball? The goal is if they're going to get a double play, you're going to go take out the guy's legs. I've heard coaches preach that all the time.
Well, those coaches are wrong.
Yeah, but for MLB to get fans interested in the game, this is not going to help. They want to see the studs out there. Like I said, I
want to see nasty hits. Hell yeah, I want to see that.
I want to see Kang out there hitting 20 home runs and batting 300, not some washed up shortstop that they had to sub in. I don't even know his name, but he wasn't anything special. He was terrible.
I look at it this way, and there's a fine line. If you're going there to break up the play, I say I'm all for it. But if it was intentional for him to get hurt and Chase Utley to hurt this guy, which he'll never admit, then suspend him. But I don't know. I just think it's just part of the game. Let's move on now. USC has fired head coach Steve Sarkisian after his troubles with alcohol, then the Lane Kiffin fiasco and no success on the basketball court. Is athletic director Pat Hayden the next one to go here?
I think so. I mean, he really wanted Lane Kiffin. He wanted those guys in here. And I think it's unfortunate with the Steve Sarkisian thing to be put on Pat Hayden's record, kind of. But I think Pat Hayden's got to go. You might as well. You're cleaning out everyone else. Might as well clean house.
Yeah, Pat Hayden, he's trying to recreate the success that he had with Pete Carroll. I mean, Pete Carroll was the reason why USC became a national powerhouse.
They also had Heisman Trophy winners on those teams.
Yes. Well, because Pete Carroll brought them in. Pete Carroll's the reason. Yeah, Pat Hayden, he's done. I mean, you look at college sports is such a huge moneymaker now. It's basically like the NFL or the NBA. It's like a professional sport. And if a team would produce like the USC did in a professional sport, their GM would get fired. And the athletic director is basically a GM, so he's going to be gone.
Let's move on to the NFL now. Jamal Charles, we all know, suffered a torn ACL. Is Ray Rice the answer in Kansas City right now?
You know, I don't think so. Niall Davis has played well when Charles has been out in the past. Last time he tore his ACL, Davis filled in nicely. And I think Ray Rice going to any team right now is probably very unlikely.
Yeah, sadly, I feel Ray Rice's career is going to be over. He was struggling going into that incident that he had with his fiancée at the time, so no team really is looking at him.
Whoever put this in the script or fans are worried about, this is idiotic. I'm sick. I don't even want to hear about Ray Rice. The guy's career is pretty much over with. Focus on the Chakandrick West, is that the guy's name?
Yeah.
And you got Niall Davis, and they're saying West might take the role over there, and a little confused on by that because Niall Davis did do a nice job last year. But I'm sick of hearing about Ray Rice.
Where's Pierre Thomas? I think they were bringing Pierre Thomas in for a tryout. That's who we should have been talking about. Ray Rice hasn't even got a tryout yet.
Yeah, I don't see that guy in the NFL anytime soon. Well, let's go around the NFL now where we're going to recap the Week 5 games. On Thursday night, the Colts and Texans put on a show as 40-year-old Matt Hasselbeck, still slinging the ball, led the Colts to win with Andrew Luck absent in that one.
Yeah, Matt Hasselbeck, he can still ball at 40 years old. He's probably better than about 3/4 of the starting quarterbacks in the league right now.
Well, with all the weapons that Hasselbeck has around him, I feel like you could have put Nick Foles out there, and Nick Foles looked awful against the Packers, and he would have led the Colts to victory. And the Texans are terrible defense,
I tell you what, the Colts don't have that many weapons outside of T.Y. Hilton. There's aging Andre Johnson and aging Frank Gore.
Frank Gore, I think he averaged 5 yards a carry and had a score. He's looking pretty spry for being 30 years old.
Against Texans defense.
I think Obama's in town here. Andrew Luck's getting gifts, getting 2 free wins out of it. It's unbelievable. Let's move on to the Packers. They advance to 5-0 with their win over the Rams 24-10. This might take a little while.
The Packers have a complete package. They showed against the Rams that their defense is legit. They're a top 10 defense in this league. They can rush the quarterback. They can lock guys down the outside. Demarius Randall, first-round pick, doing a hell of a job outside. Quint Rollins, second-round pick, first 2 career interceptions. Their defense is everywhere, and Aaron Rodgers didn't have the best game, but he still had a 65-yard touchdown pass. He still got the chains moving. You still have to worry about him every time.
See, what I'm worried about in this game is that Aaron Rodgers is human. 2 interceptions in Lambeau. Was that the first time in 5 years? I didn't know if I could drive 5 years ago.
I'll tell you what, that first one, great interception by Laurinaitis, that diving catch. That second one was not an interception. Hit the ground, but...
Oh, my God, we're not going to even talk about that. Let's be real here, though. When are this Packers team going to face a powerhouse offense? I mean, is it going to happen in the playoffs, or is it going to happen before the season's over with?
The Rams beat Seattle and Arizona.
They're not a powerhouse offense. If you put Nick Foles in the same sense of the powerhouse offense, you're an idiot.
No, they're a good defense. We still scored 24
Nick
points.
Foles, you're facing Nick Foles. I hope you have a few picks on him. The guy's garbage. Jesus, all right.
Is
Nick
Foles the same quarterback that threw 7 touchdowns in a game? I believe he is.
Yeah.
And isn't Matt Flynn with 6 touchdowns at Lambeau Field? Look where he is. Exactly my point. Now let's go on to those rookies. You see these guys are stars. They've been playing all right, but they're first and second round picks. They better be playing all right. But you know what? That interception, one of the rookies said, I get those 2 guys confused all the time. It was right to him. I mean, you could have picked the ball off there, Nate. I mean, come on, he had no effort there.
He made the play.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the pass rush caused that interception.
All right, let's move on. The Bills defeated the Titans 14-13.
Mariota didn't look the greatest, neither did the Bills.
This game should have been close because the Titans fumbled the opening kickoff, but the Bills were offsides, and I don't know if you saw this, but Rex Ryan gave out wristbands saying, yes, sir, that they're not going to commit penalties. And
he ripped it up.
He ripped it up on the first penalty, not even 5 seconds into the game.
Yeah, I feel so bad for the Bills. Every year they have this disaster, and now they're saying that Tyrod Taylor was injured he might be injured for this week. He's probable right now. they have the most bottom feeders of quarterbacks on their team. It's not even funny. If he's not there, then you got E.J. Manuel and Josh Johnson they just signed or something like that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
This team is just chaotic. They've had a good defense, but their quarterback situation is ugly. Well, the Chiefs lost to the Bears 18-17.
Yeah, the Bears, Jay Cutler played decent, I guess, but the Chiefs are not what they were a few years ago.
Gosh, this game was awful. 2 touchdowns in this game total, I think, once Jamal Charles got out. I don't even know if it was 100 yards of offense until that final drive by the Bears.
Yeah, I felt bad. I'll admit this on air. I was trying to trade for Jamal Charles all year, and my roommate can account for this. Before the game, I said, I hope Jamal Charles tears his ACL, and I'm not kidding you on that, and it happened. And I hope I don't call that for anyone else, but he screwed me in fantasy. All right, let's move on. The Eagles dismantled the Saints 39-17.
Well, the Saints are just terrible in the NFC South. They're probably the worst team in that division right now. Their defense is awful, and Drew Brees is not the Drew Brees we've seen a few years ago.
Yeah, maybe the Eagles' offense is just that good. Sam Bradford.
Stop.
Bradford's looking good.
Don't even start that.
What do you have? 3 touchdowns. DeMarco Murray averaged 4 yards a carry, got a score.
He was also 12 for 24 again at one point, and he had 2 interceptions in the red zone. I'm not sold on Sam Bradford.
I'll tell you what, the Saints look terrible. Sean Payton's on his way out. They might be cleaning house here shortly. The Cardinals took care of the Lions easily, 42-17, behind a strong defensive performance.
Yeah, the Cardinals have a great defense. They showed it again. I know Bryce is over there almost crying because his Lions are 0-5, but Stafford did not look good. He got benched in the game. They're struggling.
Could we see an 0-16 here?
No, definitely not 0-16. This team actually has quite a bit of talent. They had the playoffs. I had really high hopes for them. I thought a 10-6 season, 11-5 would be in the making. 11-5 is still possible, but they have the Packers twice on the schedule. 4-12 maybe, in my new hopes. But they will get one win eventually.
The Broncos took down the Raiders 16-10.
A good moment for Charles Woodson. Finally picked up Peyton Manning, picked him off twice in the game. But Broncos defense is good.
Yeah, speaking of Peyton Manning, he looks awful. Though he's throwing ducks. Like I said, Charles Woodson had those 2 picks. Those weren't even close to the receiver. That run game's terrible. If it wasn't for a pick 6 by this defense, the Broncos lose this game.
Peyton Manning equals noodle arm. It's that simple. The Browns snuck out a win against the Ravens in overtime as Josh McCown threw for over 400 yards.
Well, I don't really like Josh McCown. I'm not a fan. I think they should have put in Johnny Manziel, but he's played decent the last few weeks, but McCown made a mistake at the end of the game that forced into overtime. If he would have just thrown the ball sooner, they would have had a few more times, been able to win in regulation, but they had to go to overtime.
Well, what about this Gary Barnidge guy? You see that catch he had? Off the shoulder, between the legs, off the defender, grabs it by his feet and puts it into his stomach for the touchdown. I mean, that's the reason why this game went to overtime.
And I'm glad you mentioned Gary Barnidge because he's a product of Carolina. He came over there, he backed up Greg Olsen and backed up Jordan Cameron. He's finally getting the playing time. Josh McCown, thank you for that because I won in fantasy because of you. The Bengals rallied back to beat the Seahawks 27-24.
Well, the Seahawks had 24 unanswered points, and the Bengals came back and won. Andy Dalton has been playing a lot better. His release time is only second in the NFL behind Aaron Rodgers, so he's been playing a lot better at the quarterback position. And I think Seattle's really looking for answers. They're really hurting, especially with Marshawn Lynch out.
Yeah, this Legion of Boom is pretty much no more. Seattle's defense is not as good as it used to be. It's still a good defense, just not top-notch NFL defense that we're used to.
Question is, can Red Rockets stick it out the whole season and play like he's playing? I'll tell you what, I want to do a quick prediction. Carolina will beat the Seahawks this weekend in Seattle. Stay tuned for that matchup at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for today. We thank everyone for tuning in with us. I'd like to thank Nathan Hansen and Bryce Pomplun for joining me on the debate desk with their insightful opinions. And a big thanks to our technical staff here at SPTV and all their hard work to make this possible. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SPTV UWSP Television or follow us on Twitter at SPTV_UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all our Pointer Athletics information. And just remember, fellow Pointers, here at Final Take, anything Pointers, anything sports.